So the Numair Krabby bow is made by Numair Archery. Numair Archery is based in Indonesia. That is quite an important thing for many people. I know those based in Indonesia and Southeast Asia may find it difficult to import expensive bows. So having a local producer that can make entry-level, relatively inexpensive bows is quite desirable. The Krabby bow is definitely an entry-level bow. The going price is I think $100 US, and this is the kind of bow which is the cheap fiberglass bow, which is easy to use, easy to get into. And if you want to get into this kind of archery, practice Asiatic or thumb draw shooting, then this is a fairly fun bow to use. So let's go through some of the features of the Krabby bow. As I said before, the Krabby bow is a fiberglass bow. It is all fiberglass. The body and the limbs are all fiberglass. It is wrapped in red leather, but the body itself is fiberglass. The limb tips or the CUs are also made from fiberglass. You can see the fiberglass at the back of the seer. The front is made from wood, and there is a decorative horn panel. There are also wooden string bridges. In terms of the grip, you can see that it's made from a soft brown leather. There is a wooden arapace, and there is a bit of thread which has been used to add a bit of a rustic look to it, which adds to a nice basic aesthetic. I was relatively pleased to see that it has a soft red look to it. When I was looking at some of the images, it looked a little glossier than it actually is, so I'm glad that the colors are more subtle. It makes for quite a distinct eye-catching bow without making it look too tacky. One thing I noticed when I was using this was it made a very distinct creaking noise, one of the loudest creaking noises I've seen from a fiberglass bow. I'm guessing it's because of the fiberglass and wood tips. Once it smooths out, either you sand it down or it's smoothed out for usage, I think the noise is less obvious. Like I said, my first few videos were quite loud. I think this time, after using it for a couple of weeks, it seems to have mellowed out. You can still hear maybe a bit every now and then, but it seems to have largely resolved itself. So yeah, first impressions were loud and creaky, but it seems to be working okay. Something else to note though is that the leather grip is a little thin. So you can see after just 2 weeks of usage, the grip, or at least where I place my fingers, has well come off really. The leather itself is okay, but the top layer, which is the decorative or superficial layer, comes off quite easily. So even just with normal usage, you'll see that it takes a bit of wear and tear in a short amount of time, which is a little disappointing. But I guess, you know, this is what you pay for, and as long as the bow functions, and you can overlook some of these things. You could repair this yourself if you really wanted to, otherwise it doesn't affect the function of the bow. One thing I particularly like about the Krabby is that the grip is actually fairly comfortable. I know many people like a slightly outward bulging grip, but this one isn't as deep as it looks. The meaty part of the grip has a nice good feel in the hand, so you can get a nice strong grip on it. The curvature allows you to feel the fingers at the bottom of the grip where it should be when doing Eastern archery, so it allows you to execute hatra fairly easily. And the balance of the bow is actually surprisingly nice. It actually wants to go forward and you release. So if you're using traditional methods, then it's actually quite easy to execute with good forward hatra. So when I first used it, it responded very nicely, and I really enjoyed using this and experimenting with different hatra. So overall, this is quite a nice balanced bow. So let's see it in action. So after shooting the Krabby bow for the last couple of weeks and the last couple of hours especially, very impressed with just how easy it is to use. It's a cheap entry-level bow. It's not the high quality laminate or horn bows which you want to be very careful with. You can really abuse this and have a lot of fun. Hence you can take it out shooting, do some speed shooting practice, and it's not going to be a huge hit to you. So I rather enjoyed using it. It's short, it's snappy, it's punchy. So my camera battery ran out and I can't do my normal sign off, so I'll do my final thoughts this method. So the bow, like I said before, is a fairly fun bow. It's a fairly cheap bow, so while the quality isn't top notch, it was fun to use and I really enjoyed playing around with it. The main negative I have with the bow isn't so much the bow itself, all things considered, but the way it's sold, and I do hope that Numair Archery does consider the feedback here. The thing which gets to me about the way the bow was presented to me, the way it's presented on the official website, is that it looks too unprofessional. Like, it's called the Krabby bow with a K, and when I first thought that, there's no way I can take it seriously. It sounds like a joke, especially when you see the promotional material where it literally uses the SpongeBob SquarePants font for the Krabby bow. I can't call it a Krabby bow and take it seriously, which is a shame because everything else on the Numair Archery website is a fairly serious design. I mean, these might be good entry-level bows, which are easy to acquire and ship, especially if you're in Southeast Asia. But when you have all these series like Tartar bows and Turkish bows with serious names, and then you have the Krabby bow with a bright glossy red image, it looks like a kid's bow, and that's the first misconception I had. And when I got the bow, I thought, oh, hang on, this is a serious bow and it's actually really fun to use. But the first impressions count for a lot, and I'm just worried that this is a bestseller, but it's marketed totally the wrong way. So it's not going to affect the quality of the bow once you get it, but you have to look past what it looks like on the cover. I had to forget about that as soon as I got that and I realized, oh, this is a proper bow. But I just wish that the manufacturer, Numair, would rebrand this bow to be something a bit more serious. Call it a crab bow or mugal bow or something. Just don't call it a Krabby bow, okay? Anyway, that's a small thing. It's not really going to affect the bow itself, and I really hope that if you have a chance to use this bow, that you make the most out of it. It's a very fun bow to use. I definitely enjoyed using it. It's a surprising thing I got this year. So actually, I got a lot of good bows this year, but this one has been surprising because it is so easy and light to use, and I can definitely see myself mucking around with this and using a lot more in the future. Anyway, this is NUSensei. Hope you found this interesting and helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.